Caramel CT 301 with tune G6, high D. Caramel CT 100 with Diodario strings. These are tenor strings tuned dGBE. Rubin RP RT 102. Well, here we are back with the CT 301, and I changed the strings out. The GHS strings just didn't float my boat. So I thought I'd try a low D, and I put a set of PhD tenor low G strings on it and tuned it dGBE. So tell me what you think. This is the Tennessee Waltz again. These are, I just put them on yesterday, and they are not set yet. And they tend to go flat really quick. The low D actually works pretty well on the tenor, on this tenor in particular, I think because of the spruce top. It certainly has enough resonance to handle it, and the sustain is much better with a PhD string. So we'll try the A minor, D minor, E7. And C, F, G7. Pardon me for making a mistake on the F, because it's hard to hit clean. One thing about playing bari-tenors or baritones, the chord shapes are a fifth lower, so it's you have to transpose keys when you're playing C forms. They turn out to be G forms, and it's a little confusing. I've been playing it about 10 months and shifting between C and G tuning, so I've got it pretty well, but the B flat or F, hard to hit that quick and fast. Tend to be a little weak on that one, but D, G, A7th. I threw in a little E7th there, which is the relative minor, or the fifth, I don't remember. Anyway, these sound pretty good, but they are very rubbery. Very low tension, but they do drive the soundboard well. When I took them over to show Gary, whose ukulele this is, I had to pry it out of his hands to get it back to do the video, because he really liked the low D. But he's a guitar player, so he's used to low D, and reentrant tuning is a little strange for him. But that's PhD's low G set, tuned low D G. But it is a fairly nice instrument. It has good volume and sustain. All in all, it's not a bad instrument if you like the sound of a spruce top. And it does have nice rope purling around it. Quite lovely, in fact, except it's rather plain. And perhaps I'm damning it with faint praise, but my neighbor has another one that has been set up correctly, and it's much easier to play and sounds much nicer. So for a few bucks at a guitar shop, or some work at home, you could have a fairly nice ukulele for, I think this was $65. Now, as far as the strings go, comparing these strings to the Worth Brown Fats, which I have on my zebrawood tenor, which, being the new style, came to me fairly well set up. There's only 3 millimeters of height on the strings. The intonation is a lot better, and I think the instrument is prettier looking than the spruce top. But let's hook it up here. Now, I personally like the tone of the zebrawood better than the spruce top, but your mileage may vary. All in all, I think the CT301 is not a bad deal if you like spruce top and you're not opposed to having the action adjusted by a local shop or doing it yourself. of various strings for tenor ukuleles, but tuned dGBE, dog golf baker echo, as if they were baritones, like my baritone caramel Charlie Baker 103. Thought I'd play the big zebra to provide a baseline for the sound of a baritone tenor with reentrant strings. So here goes. This has Worth Brown baritone strings on it, and they're a little warm, I guess you'd say. And I was looking for a little brighter string set, but I haven't wanted to change these Worths out just yet. Now I have my Reuben Romeo Tango 102. It's a travel tenor, and it has a very different tone than most of my other ukuleles. And I'll try the same Tennessee waltz with it. Now it has Worth Blackline or Fremont Blackline strings on it. These are standard tenor strings, but detuned to dGBE, dog golf baker echo. Now it has very much the same tone as the baritone, but I think that's because both of the baritone and the Reuben are a heavy gloss finish. I think that may be a part of the difference in the sound between them and my fat tenor, a caramel Charlie Tango 100. Tell me what you think. These strings are Diodario carbons. It's a standard tenor set, detuned to dog, golf, baker, echo. I like these strings on this ukulele, and they have a nice sound. They drive the soundboard well, and but this ukulele has always been fairly loud, so we'll see how it compares. Now, there's a lot of people that say that spruce is louder than zebra wood. I don't necessarily find that to be the truth, but it is interesting that there's a little difference in the sound between the gloss tenor and the satin finish tenor. Now, this is a caramel Charlie Tango 301 tenor ukulele, and it has GHS Bari-tenor strings on it. I've been looking for strings that would tune to G tuning like a baritone, and these are Chi and Manzel Artist Curated series. Now, they're actually guitar strings that have been selected for use in baritone tenor application, and I find they are very different than standard tenor strings detuned. See what you think. Now, these have only been on here for a few days. The strings on the other ukuleles have been on for months. So they're a little bit stretchy. But I found that as they settle in, they did tend to sound a little better. These are high D, G, B, and E. Check the tuning because they detune themselves in about 10 minutes. Yes, the B tends to be a little flat quickly. There we go. There we are. Now, these are rectified nylon, I believe. It doesn't say on the package. And the other strings, of course, are fluorocarbons. So that's a little bit of difference. Also, this is a solid spruce top ukulele. Willow back, solid spruce top, and it tends to be quite loud. And I'll try this with some other strings later, uh, but I wanted to see what the GHS strings would sound like. And I may put the GHSs on this Charlie Tango 100 to get a comparison between them and what are mostly my favorite strings, the Diodario carbons. The the four ukuleles are all a little different. Even if they had the same strings on them, they would sound a little different. But I don't want to do a 16 string changes to try every string on every ukulele. So we'll just fake it for now. But I did notice that playing in A minor, which is A minor, B minor, E7th, they sound not too bad. But we'll try that with the Charlie Tango 100 with Diodarios. And with the Rubin Romeo Tango 102. Now I'm playing all of this in the first position because I'm a newbie and I'm just learning, so I haven't picked up the other positions yet. Now we'll try and see what a real baritone. This is a 20-inch scale length, glossy zebra wood caramel, which is not an expensive ukulele by any means, but it does compare very well with Kayla's, or even it compares fairly well with the King Custom that I played at the Strum Shop up in Roseville. Sounds pretty decent. But comparing it to the GHS Bari-tenor strings on the spruce tops, if you haven't passed out from the previous iterations, here is the CT 103 with Fremont Black Lime Bari-tenor strings. I did add a Fremont Soloist low G string and tuned it to a low D. My neighbor Gary, whose ukulele this is, likes low D, so I thought I'd try the Soloist string to see if I could satisfy his need for linear tuning. But these strings sound, let me get a pick here. These strings sound pretty well, but they have a metallic ring to them, and I think that's because of the spruce top. They sound really well, and the tension is much better than the regular tenor strings. Although the Deladarios and the Fremont tenor strings are pretty good. These are a little bit more tension, although they're very comfortable to play. I'm playing between keys here, but to give you an idea of what it sounds like. But it sounds pretty well, and it's in tone fairly good. I do like these strings. I'm going to put I bought 2 sets of the Fremonts. I'm going to put the other set of the Fremonts on my Reuben with a high D string. This, of course, is a low D, and it has really good sustain. All in all, I think these are much better than the Ukuleles or the GHS. The GHS didn't have quite the ring that these have, but I think that's because they're fluorocarbon and not the rectified nylon of the GHS. Now, comparing this low D Bari-tenor to a real tenor with a low D. Better check the tuning. This low D has only been on there a day or so. No, that's all right. can't be replaced with a tenor. But you can play the tenor in dGBE tuning, and it'll be pretty close to baritone. But you just won't have the full baritone gravitas. But still, if you like excuse me, the Diodario carbons on my CT100 are have enough tension that you can play them well. Unlike the PhDs, the PhDs sounded really good, but they were very rubbery and loose and sloppy. These you can play with your fingers, and your fingers don't tend to catch up. PhDs, I had a tendency to catch my finger on the E string, and they just weren't adequate. The Fremont Blackline tenor strings are a little bit looser than the Fremont Bari-tenor strings, but they sound decent. Played with a pick, they're even a little better. I'm not sure that there's going to be a whole lot of difference between the standard tenor strings and the Bari-tenor strings. The Fremont Bari-tenors are almost the same diameters as the Fremont tenors. There's a little bit of difference in a few of the strings, but not significantly different in terms of size. We'll see when I change the strings out later, but already we're getting to be over 30 minutes on this video, and I think that's stressing everybody's patience enough. So there you have it, a pretty broad selection of strings that will work, a couple that are very marginal, and a little difference between rectified nylon and fluorocarbons, and the Aquila nile guts. So there you have it. That's my experiment so far, and I'm pretty happy with the Fremonts. Now we'll see what they sound like with a high D probably next week, because I'm sick and tired of changing strings, at least for now. So there it is, guys. Do with it what you will, and I'll see you later in the seasons. Bye-bye. With the